From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Millicent Walker.
Hello and welcome. Abuja High Court sentences Maryam Sanda to death by hanging after finding her guilty of killing her husband, Biliaminu Bello, in November 2017. Federal High Court in Abuja grants former senator representing Kaduna Central, Shehu Sani, a 10 million naira bail over bribery allegations. Police avert face-off at Oyo State's local government councils between PDP caretaker chairman and sacked APC chairman reinstated by Attorney General of the Federation. And death toll from the coronavirus infection in China rises to 81, with authorities trying to contain as many as 3,000 cases. Plus, business, sports and later international news from our London studios. On business news tonight, top investment banker expects demand for risky assets to continue despite monetary policy's latest decision on cash reserve ratio for banks.
And in sports news tonight, world number one Rafa Nadal on course for his 20th Grand Slam title, seeing off Nick Kyrgios in a 5-set thriller at the Australian Open.
And from Abuja, gunmen suspected to be headsmen killed 13 people in an attack on Quarters Village in Boko's local government area of Plateau State.
What a day it's been, from the death sentence on a wife that killed her husband 3 years ago to another wife that allegedly killed her husband after a hot argument today. Well, just before you begin to think the day was all about crimes of passion, security is still a major concern following the murder of 13 people and a fresh attack in Plateau State, such that the President of Senate has hinted that security will top the agenda when the National Assembly reconvenes on Tuesday. Now let's begin from the court. A federal high court in the FCT today sentenced Maryam Sanda to death by hanging for killing her husband. Ms. Sanda was charged with culpable homicide in November 2017, with the police seeking the death penalty for the crime, which they insist was premeditated. But she pleaded not guilty and was able to secure a bail while the trial lasted. Today, she was eventually found guilty.
The lady in the eye of the storm, Maryam Sanda, a mother of two, could not contain her tears after the court found her guilty of killing her husband, Mr. Biliaminu Bello. In the charge, which the police filed pursuant to Section 109, subsection D of the 2015 Administration of Criminal Justice Act, Mrs. Sanda was accused of stabbing her husband on his chest and neck at their Abuja residence. The police maintained that the defendant attacked her husband with the knowledge that her act was likely to cause his death. 6 witnesses were called by the prosecution during the trial, which lasted almost 3 years. One of the witnesses, Ibrahim Mohammed, had told the court that the accused had threatened to cut off the private part of the deceased with a broken bottle and knife, but was disarmed by friends of the deceased. But the accused claimed that her late husband fell against the broken shisha bottle, which had earlier fallen during their argument. Lawyer to the accused, Mrs. Regina Okotie Ebo, argued that the prosecution failed to tender evidence to corroborate the allegations. In his judgment, Justice Yusuf Alilu said, Mrs. Sanda's testimony raised the question as to whether the shisha pot broke before or after the demise of Mr. Bello. The judge said the accused also failed to explain the cause of death of her husband, going by the doctrine of last seen. He therefore pronounced her guilty of killing her husband. Upon the guilty pronouncement, the accused attempted to run out of the courtroom, but was blocked and brought back by security operatives. Following the mild commotion, the judge stood down the matter and returned after a few minutes to sentence her to death by hanging.
This has actually restated the position of Chukwudifo Puta in the case of Josiah versus the state, where he stated that the blood of an innocent victim of crime is praying too heavy for vengeance. And it's duty of the state, whom I represent today, to ensure that this vengeance is being carried out.
The court also ordered that the convict should remain at the correctional center in Suleja till she exhausts her rights of appeal.
And just as many people were trying to digest the news of that sentence, the police in Katsina State announced the arrest of a 19-year-old wife who allegedly stabbed her husband to death in Malum Fashi local government area of the state. The suspect, identified as Rabi Shamsuddin, is said to have stabbed her husband, Shamsuddin Salisu, with a sharp knife during a heated argument. Although he was rushed to the Malum Fashi General Hospital, he was pronounced dead on arrival. The police spokesman in the state told Channels Television that investigations have already commenced into the matter. In the meantime, the Federal High Court in Abuja has granted the former senator representing Kaduna Central, Shehu Sani, 10 million naira bail following his arraignment by the EFCC for alleged bribery and advance fee fraud. Senator Sani appeared in court for the first time since he was arrested and detained by the EFCC on December the 31st, 2019. He had pleaded not guilty to the crime. At today's sitting, Justice Inyang Ekwo dismissed the EFCC's opposition to the former senator's bail application after hearing arguments and counter-arguments canvassed by the defense and prosecution.
Almost 1 month after the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, arrested Senator Shehu Sani over allegations of bribery and extortion, the former senator representing Kaduna Central in the last Senate is arraigned before Justice Inyang Ekwo of the Federal High Court in Abuja. The embattled senator appeared unperturbed in the courtroom, but obviously not interested in spending more time in detention, as his counsel argued his bail application. Senator Shehu Sani is standing trial on a 2-count charge of bribery and advanced fee fraud, charges to which he pleaded not guilty. After listening to submissions of the prosecutor and the lead counsel to the defendant on the bail application, Justice Inyang Ekwo grants Senator Sani a 10 million naira bail. Other conditions attached to the bill include a surety who must be a responsible citizen with landed property within the jurisdiction of the court. The defendant must also deposit his international passport with the court's registrar. The prosecutor declines interviews by journalists, just as the defense counsel applauds the ruling on his bail application.
For us, it's okay. The bail conditions are liberal enough, and as a matter of fact, he's ready to face his trial, and we'll prove that all the allegations the prison are just trumped up. We don't know whatever the ACC is after, but at the right time, a lot of things will come out. Because it's where AFCC will come up with charges, want to detain him, it's okay. There is nothing to hide. That's the most important thing. I mean, we will not need to start disclosing our defense now, but everybody knows that, according to him, that it's a transaction. And so let them bring their witnesses. That's all. And we know that we have enough to counter them. There is nothing to be afraid of. And more so, he has told me, and I believed him, he said nothing like that ever happened. And you will recollect, he has constantly said that he does not even know the Chief Justice of Nigeria. He has never met him.
The case was adjourned to February the 24th, 25th, and 26th for accelerated trial.
Staying with the judiciary, an Abuja High Court has fixed Thursday, January the 30th, for ruling on the bail application of the former Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Mohammed Adoke, and 2 others. The accused persons had last Thursday pleaded not guilty to a 42-count charge involving $1.3 billion Malibu oil deal preferred against them by the federal government.
Former Attorney General of the Federation, Mr. Mohammed Adoke, and his co-defendants arrived at the FCT High Court in Gwagwalada. Proceedings of the day is the argument on bail application filed on behalf of the defendants. Lawyer to the former AGF kickstarts the argument, urging the court to admit his client to bail of recognizance. He told the court that the former AGF returned to the country voluntarily to prove his innocence. Counsels representing Aliyu Abubakar and Raski Gbenigi also urged the court to admit the defendants to bail on liberal terms. The prosecutor, however, opposed all the applications on the grounds that the former Justice Minister was arrested through the assistance of Interpol, while the second defendant breached the terms of the administrative bail granted to him by the Anti-Graft Commission.
As you're all aware, he was arrested by Interpol and escorted back into the country. And I wouldn't want to go into the details of my argument in court. The court has not given its ruling yet, and it will be unethical for me. The arguments I'd advanced before the court, before a ruling is made on it, to re-advance it outside of court. It would be very unethical.
Lawyer to the former AGF denies the claims by the prosecutor.
Exhibit AMA2 show that he purchased his ticket through Emirates Airline by himself. A person extradited or deported doesn't purchase his ticket by himself. There's evidence that he purchased the ticket, and there's evidence in Exhibit MA3 where he said, I want to go back to my country, Nigeria, to solve my problem.
After argument on the bail application, Justice Idris Kutigi adjourned the case to Thursday, the 30th of January, for ruling.
Away from legal matters, workers across the 33 local governments and 35 LCDAs in Oyo State today did not turn up for work as directed by their union over the weekend. The National Union of Local Government Employees, NOLGE, in a statement had warned its members not to report for duty after sacked chairman elected on the APC platform and the PDP caretaker chairman both vowed to resume duties today. However, that did not happen as security operatives shut and manned the gates of most secretariats to avoid any breach of peace.
The mood at the Oluyole local government at Idiayunre, Ibadan, where the sacked Algon chairman Abbas Aleshinloye reported for duty as directed by the Attorney General of the Federation and the Inspector General of Police.
What we are doing here today is to reassure the workers and want them to resume their duties and to allow rule of law to prevail.
In almost all the local government areas visited, access to the secretariat was not granted as both the APC and PDP representatives turned up for work. These dying flames from a bonfire earlier in the day lays credence to the mood here at Makbu before the police intervened to restore normalcy at the Ibadan Southeast local government. The Oyo State government, which is one of the parties at the center of this crisis, is however calling for calm to avoid any breakdown of the law.
We have received reports of vandalization of government property. We have received reports of wanton destruction of various doors, windows, and what have you. And the government will not sit down and watch why some people decide to be lawless.
How this is going to pan out will be determined in the days ahead. From Ibadan North local government here in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, Bukola Ariowo, Channels Television News.
Some more stories now. Come February the 1st, which is just a few days away, commercial motorcyclists and tricycle riders will no longer be allowed to ply their trade on major highways and bridges in Lagos State. The new directive, according to the Lagos State government, will be applicable in 15 local government areas of the state. Announcing the decision in Lagos today, the State's Commissioner of Information and Strategy, Mr. Gbenga Omotosho, explains the state government will soon roll out alternative means of transportation.
Lagos State Government and the State Security Council have decided that the security and safety of lives of Lagosians are paramount. The figures are scary. From 2016 to 2019, there were over 10,000 accidents recorded at the general hospitals alone. This number excludes unreported cases and those recorded by other hospitals. The total number of deaths from reported cases is over 600 as at date. The rate of crime cited by motorcycles and tricycles keeps rising. Motorcycles and tricycles are also used as getaway means by criminals. Law enforcement agents have been directed that with effect from February 1, 2020, there will be zero tolerance for motorcycles and tricycles in and on the listed local governments, highways, and bridges. Members of the public are hereby notified that all offenders and violators will be dealt with in accordance with the law.
In part two, after the break, United Nations Development Programme signs Memorandum of Understanding with Channels Television as part of efforts towards the attainment of Sustainable Development Goals. Please stay with us.